Hundreds of battles, thousands of tyres, 6 rounds across New Zealand. It's all come down to this, the final round of the 2015 D1NZ D1NZ Championship Series. For the first time in nearly 4 years, D1NZ returns to New Zealand's own House of Drift. The history, the carnage and the legends. It's time for the 2015 Grand Final at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Who will be the next New Zealand Drift King? Catch all the highlights action right here on Oversteer TV.
Pukekohe, heart sort of beats a bit when I think Pukekohe. I am scared. At the same time, I'm excited about it. It's just, you don't know how to approach it. You need to pick a point and stick to that point. It only takes a slight adjustment to go off. I've made a mistake there before and bugger the car pretty much.
My partner and my old man and my family and stuff, they're pretty freaked out about it all, and you know, they're like, how are you going to attack it, sort of thing, you know, and don't know if I'll be able to watch, but you know, I'm just like, oh, you know, this is what we build the car for, this is what I've been doing it for, and yeah, I'm just going to go hard.
It's just pure adrenaline every time I jump into it, and you know, it's not always the competition, sometimes it's the practice that you get out there and just jamming with a bunch of the other guys that we've been driving with for years and some of the new up-and-comers, and it's just cool to go out there and push yourself every time.
Getting a little bit sweaty thinking about it. It's one of those tracks that sorts the boys from the men. It's one of those ones where you're standing in the sort of an amphitheatre and you're looking up at everyone, you know, you want to have that, yep, you know, I did it at this track. It's going to take a heck of a lot of luck, energy, there's so many words that can be described to take us to that top level.
Yeah, Puke's, you know, it's a home of drift. For myself, it was the first track I ever drifted on. I really do love and enjoy that track. It's scary, it's fun. You know, you just drive it and you feel the bumps. You know that the wall's right there. It's awesome, but it's you know, it's one mistake and that'll be you done and dusted for the weekend.
Everyone sort of worries a little bit, no matter what the track is. You can get hurt at any track, Pukekohe being the fastest track. You sort of have a little bit nervous going out, but at the end of the day it's what you do, it's sort of, that's the consequences, and with the safety of the cars and everything, I think you're pretty safe now. To win the championship this year would be pretty much undescribable. You can't really put a pin on it.
Yes, it's all come down to this, the top 6 all in with a chance at the final podium of the season, but the man with a huge target on his back is young Darren Kelly, just his second year in the Pro Championship, and he leads the series standings coming into Pukekohe with a 35-point buffer. But former champ Kurt Whitaker, a surprise in the title race after a superb round win in Christchurch, he'll be looking to apply the pressure here, having been the last round winner 3 years ago. While the grand final was always going to be a dramatic end to the season, but this event was turned on its head before it even began, with torrential rain and high winds making things difficult for both organisers and teams competing with a title fight on the line. It was wet and wild for the first practice sessions, both the Pro and Pro-Am classes seeing plenty of jet sprint action. It was nothing but spins and carnage, the biggest stack of practice going to Whangadan Woolhouse in the Century Batteries Commodore. By midday, all action on track was red flagged for nearly 2 hours, with water pumps and track sweepers being brought in to clear the pooling water on entry. But with big delays on track, this pushed the Pro-Am qualifying into the afternoon on day 2, shortening practice time further and putting a big strain on the schedule for day 3. Despite the weather, thousands of dedicated fans still turned out to support the final round of the championship, and come the main event, the wind and rain had eased up, with action returning on track. Let's take a look at the track rundown. It was even weighted points for round 6, another track featuring 2 sectors, a lot of pressure to perform on the entry at turn 1 with half the score up for grabs. Pukekohe Park Raceway, of course, one of New Zealand's most iconic racetracks, rich in motorsport history and the birthplace of D1NZ. 4 turns make up the drift section, and the turn 1 sweeper, infamous for its high-speed entry, over 200 kilometres an hour in the dry. Drivers had to fire through the corner into the first outside transition zone on the right-hand side of the track. From there it was a left-right inside clip combo through turns 2 and 3, and an outside clip to finish through the final right-hander with an inside clip to finish the section at turn 4. Practice and qualifying threw up the biggest mixed bag of results for the season, but it was all eyes on the top championship contenders. Kurt Whitaker sitting in the prime position to take on the young Darren Kelly after winning round 5 in Christchurch, though as expected the rain was the biggest issue to contend with in practice.
Yesterday it was interesting. We haven't been here for so long, and when you get to go and drive a track and you end up knowing it in all conditions, but yesterday was the worst weather I've been involved in with drifting ever since I begun. It was there was just so many puddles and it was so unpredictable. Hey, it was fun, but you're not here to have a play around, so it's pretty serious, and we're here to try and win a championship. So we got a couple of laps in and sorted a wet setup out, and we parked it up after we were happy with that and left it at that. And as it was seen, there was a fair few offs and a bit of damage and carnage. So I was happy just to to keep it clean. We're sitting in second, just behind Darren, and good season for us considering we just put the V8 in, and we thought it was going to be a lot of just setup and getting used to it. But I'm not going to jinx myself. I'm just going to go out there and do it. And like I said, anything can happen. This weather's just so unpredictable at the moment. We'll just take it as it comes.
After a shock exit in the top 8 at round 5, Darren Kelly still managed to hold on to his points lead in the championship. The young Pro-Am Development Series graduate went into the final round as the leading turbo driver. High-Tech Oil signing on as the new principal sponsor for the team.
Yeah, so we're still leading the championship after Christchurch. Unfortunately, we turned the car off accidentally against Bruce Tannock in the top 8, so that put us back a little bit when we're really hunting those points to come into the final with a good lead. So we're still up 35 points, so we're going to be going into qualifying, giving it everything we got, try to get up there in the score and hopefully finish somewhere in the top 4 this afternoon. Hopefully the weather either stays one or the other, because it's a bit challenging when it starts to get a few dry patches out there, so hopefully it's one or the other.
The man who pushed Darren Kelly all season was Andrew Redwood in the Club Auto Insurance FC RX-7. With strong performances throughout, it was also a top 8 exit for Redwood in Christchurch. Sitting 4th in points, there was determination to push through the rain and claim back a chance at holding the trophy.
Friday was great. We came out and did a practice day, nice and dry, killed a lot of tires, got up to speed. But then today's another kettle of fish. It's kind of patchy and not really bucketing down the rain, but it's still slippery out there in some spots, and there's actually grip developing in other spots, so it's all over the show. And I've had half a lap of testing on these tires, so yeah, it's going to be interesting. And everybody else is in the same boat too. They've all had 4 laps this morning at tops. Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm after, is championships. So hopefully we can do well in qualifying and bring it through in the battles. Driven enough laps here before, and so the other top guys that are up there. So it'll be fun, and hopefully it doesn't come down with torrential downpours again, and we can stay in this kind of medium wet area.
As seen in practice, FDC Motorsport had plenty of work to do overnight after Whangadan had a big moment with the wall. Despite huge damage to the rear of the VE Holden Commodore, the team had things back together and ready to go for day 2.
Yesterday, we were just coming to grips, with the car, and we haven't been back here for so long, and of course we had the worst weather conditions we could have. So we're just playing with some setups and testing our car against other cars with speed, and went in behind young Nico here, and we're just trying to gauge our speed and our how fast we get through the section. And Nico got a yellow waved out in front of him and pulled out of the drift a bit, and I came in pretty hot, and
yeah, I just didn't want to crash into him, obviously, so we grabbed the handbrake and just sort of tried to slow it down, and as soon as I grabbed the handbrake, it just sucked me out to that big puddle, and then I just had to put my foot up it and just try and drive away from the wall as much as possible, and it pretty much wiped just about the whole rear end off. Where luckily it didn't take the fuel system out. So yeah, the boys were stuck into getting that done yesterday, and they've done a really good job. And it's not the straightest thing, but it's hopefully it's got enough to do the damage.
Four-time legend and outgoing champion Gaz Whiter has seen his fair share of wet weather driving over the years, though like Whangadan, even the best in the game have their moments out on track.
At the moment, it's not that good. You know, the wet slows everything down, makes it pretty treacherous. Yesterday, the track got shut for half the day, so no practice yesterday for us. Got 4 laps just then before qualifying, and it's so slippery, it's unreal. It's like there's oil on the track, so can't do anything about it. Everyone's in the same boat. There's another shower coming through just before qualifying starts, so yeah, you just try and do your best with it. My pick is Darren's been driving good. He's just got to stay consistent, stay in control, and he should come out on top. Kurt's obviously pretty experienced here, so there's that too. Obviously Whanga can do it, and so can Andrew. I'd like to get on the podium, so we'll try and get it on the box.
After another string of consistent podiums and strong results in qualifying, the Phoenix Performance driver found himself in the mix for the 2015 title race, though he isn't expecting to keep hold of the iconic trophy.
Obviously going to hand the trophy over this year. At the start of the season, we sort of weren't too worried about it. We missed the first round in this car. It was in Australia, so started off on the wrong foot, got the car back and got 3 podiums in a row, so got back up within contention again, and then just had a shocker in Christchurch. Just obviously one battle. It was against Nico. He just went in a bit slow, and I miscalculated it, and that was enough. If we had done well there, we would have been in with a shot again today, but it wasn't to be, and I'm not too phased about it. You know, we've done it 4 times. Pretty proud of that. So to just be up there in the top 6, top 5 is great. To miss a round, so pretty happy with the team, and I'm happy with how the car's going and enjoying it a lot more having a reliable car.
Qualifying for the final round would be one of the most bizarre track sessions in recent years, with plenty of drivers scoring zeros on their first pass. Drivers continued to battle wet conditions on track, V Energy's Cole Armstrong claiming the biggest hit in qualifying. Only 18 cars managed to qualify for the top 32, fielding a much shorter battle program for the main event. The top order saw Tom Marshall take 10th place in the ATJ 180SX, Shane Allen putting the BOC SB Tills Falcon into 9th. Shane Giles found himself in 8th place with a 65.5, championship leader Darren Kelly bouncing back from a close save with the wall in his first pass to take 7th. The Marshall brothers bring good form into Pukekohe with Joe Marshall in 6th, title contender Andrew Redwood putting the Club Auto FC RX7 into 5th place. Gaz Whiter set 2 strong laps in the Phoenix S14 to take 4th place, Whangadan taking 3rd in the Century Batteries Holden Commodore. The man who turned heads though was young Vincent Langhorne in his privateer C33 Laurel, the former Pro-Am champion showing off his talent behind the wheel, holding provisional pole for much of the session.
Vince Langhorne, an absolutely wild run, 83.5, you just threw it in on your first pass. How did that feel?
Felt a bit better than all the ones in practice. I knew it would be good, but I didn't think it would be that good.
Were you scared at all during any part of the run?
Not the first one, the second one a little bit when I spun, but no, it felt good.
The only man who could better his score was Kurt Whitaker in the Autoshore Insurance R34 Skyline, setting an 84.5 to take the top qualifying spot and the bonus score of championship points.
Qualifying's in the books here at round number 6. Kurt Whitaker, 12 valuable points, number 1 qualifying spot.
Yeah, no, that was, the goal was to qualify as good as we can. The weather didn't play part on the first run. You know, the guys ahead of us got a lot better track condition. And then, you know, it dried up quite a bit, which was primo. You know, it was good. The old boy that was up in the grandstand said, "Oh, there's a pretty good dry line. You can go in there, you know, pretty fast." So I think maybe a little bit too fast, and I thought I was gone, but we you know, managed to hold on to it, and I think it ended up being quite a good run. The entry was huge, was big angle, and I managed to just pull it back to where we needed to be for clip 2, and the rest of it was just nice and solid, heaps of angle. Then I just tried to lay it down as best I could with it, you know, for the conditions. So happy with that, number 1.
And what's the plan for this afternoon? You're a bit at a disadvantage versus Darren Kelly. You got to win it.
Yeah, hey, you know, and coming into this, you know, we've been happy to be where we are. The results we've had this season's been awesome. We thought it was going to be a little bit of, you know, a bit of a mixed bag this year with, you know, with this new package, but it's worked well, and to just be where we are is wicked. And whatever happens, you know, like we're at the mercy of, you know, of the weather, and you need a shitload of luck.
So Kurt Whitaker top qualifying, another good result for Rattler Motorsport. Series leader Darren Kelly though down in 7th place, and Cole Armstrong taking a big hit with the wall, which sees him step into Calvin Clark's Pro-Am C33 down in 18th place. Some big names taking double zeros and out of the game already. Stay tuned, it's final battles of the season coming up right after the break. Welcome back, it's the final battle highlights of the season, the 2015 D1NZ D1NZ Drifting Championship Series. Only 18 cars qualified for the top 32 for the grand final at Pukekohe. First up is Jody Verhulst taking on Cole Armstrong in a borrowed car. Unfortunately, it was a 0 for Jody, putting Armstrong through to the top 16. Drew Donovan suffered engine dramas right before the grand final, which saw him step into Jody's Milwaukee Supra. Donovan with a wide line and holding a strong lead as Nico Reed battled the GVI S15. Conditions and setup just didn't fall his way, spinning out and handing victory to Drew Donovan. Into the top 16 with Shane Giles in the RB26 powered S14, leading out Shane Allen in the BOC SB Tools Falcon. Shane Allen looking very strong in the chase. Giles out in front would be too far offline for the first clipping zone and sliding into the dirt through the transition. The Ford V8 holding a big advantage. The second pass would put all the good work undone by Allen. A big entry into the sweeper just didn't come together. The Rattler Falcon spinning out and handing victory to the WR Twig A1 Homes S14. It was a weekend of bad luck for Kyle Jackaways in the Colton's Motors 180 SX, suffering engine issues, with the car unable to make the grid. Title contender Andrew Redwood scored a free pass into the top 8. It was nostalgia for many a drift fan at Pukekohe, with 2 C33 Lorels going head-to-head in the 16. Privateer Vincent Langhorne leading out Cole Armstrong in the borrowed Calvin Clark machine. Vincent Langhorne kept a clean pass out in front. With advantage up his sleeve, the RB26 pilot kept another consistent pass in behind, taking victory into the top 8. Fangadan took on Dave Steedman in the Mimico RB30 powered S14. The Century Batteries Holden Commodore with a strong entry. Steedman trying to cut down the gap out in front. In the second pass, Fangadan would follow Steedman into a fast entry, but slowing down the big Holden Commodore is no easy task. Fanga struggling to keep the car settled in the chase, Dave Steedman having his own moment by putting a wheel off into the dirt. With a scrappy pass from both drivers, the judges called an OMT. In the second pass, Steedman again putting on a fast lead run, Fangadan getting it all wrong in the chase and spearing off into the grass, Dave Steedman taking the win. It was much the same for Bruce Tannock and Joe Marshall in their battle, the ATJ 180SX taking a fast entry into the mid-track line, the Achilles Radial S13 sliding off track with a 0, Joe Marshall with a win into the top 8. Despite the rain-soaked track, fast entries were still coming through. Four-time champ Gaz Whiter in the Phoenix Radios S14 taking on Pro-Am graduate Gaz Grove in the CMP Construction S15. The battle of the V8 Sylvias continued again with another wet and wild entry from Gaz Grove. Gaz Whiter trying to stay door to door in the rear. Another close battle with the judges calling OMT. Things wouldn't go to plan in the rerun for Gaz Grove. The Phoenix S14 pulling a gap with Gaz Whiter claiming victory. Gaz Grove getting it wrong on the outside curb into turn 4. The final battle of the top 16 would have fans watching on intently as series leader Darren Kelly lined up against Tom Marshall. A competitive spark has been brewing amongst these two since round 1 at Manfield, and Pukekohe was no exception. With Marshall slightly offline to the chase car and a small correction from Darren Kelly at the final turn, it was a close fought points battle, a nail-biting moment for many fans when Tom Marshall took a fast entry into the sweeper, Darren Kelly falling behind. Darren Kelly would keep a clean pass on the chase line despite the big gap to Tom Marshall. With the points scoring even, the judges would call an OMT. With a one more time, it was a clean slate for both drivers struggling in wet conditions. Marshall in the ATJ 180SX giving chase, but coming unstuck with a dirt drop on the first clipping zone. Marshall closing in at turn 4. In the second pass, Darren Kelly would push slightly wide in the chase. Tom Marshall online to the first clipping zone and through the transition. Darren Kelly also getting in on the close proximity at turn 4. With the points still even, the judges still couldn't make a call, sending the pair to another OMT. This time it was sudden death, Darren Kelly setting the pace out front. Tom Marshall would continue to apply the pressure to the series leader, but the ATJ S13 would miss the final clipping point, handing Darren Kelly a slight advantage into the final pass. On the final lap, Darren Kelly would keep right on the back of the ATJ S13. Tom Marshall leading out with another fast entry, both drivers performing at the limit in greasy conditions, but Darren Kelly would keep the pressure on in the final stages, the High-Tech Oils R34 Skyline holding on to a dramatic and controversial victory. Into the top 8, and it was a V8 vs Turbo clash between Kurt Whitaker in the Ford V8 Skyline and Shane Giles in the Nissan RB26 powered S14. Kurt Whitaker would set a strong lead with Shane Giles pushing too far offline. The Autosure R34 holding a big advantage, Kurt not holding back on the chase run, taking victory into the top 4. The championship title race was set for a shake-up with Gaz Whiter leading Andrew Redwood in the top 8. Gaz Whiter setting a fast entry with the Club Auto FC RX-7 spinning out off track. With a 10-0 advantage, Gaz Whiter had the upper hand in the chase. Andrew Redwood's hopes of securing a podium finish for the season slipping away. The Phoenix S14 closing in on the Club Auto FC RX-7 to take victory into the final 4. After a dramatic sudden death showdown in the top 16, Darren Kelly was set to take on Vincent Langhorne in the C33 Laurel, but Langhorne would suffer a broken axle hitting into the run, driving straight through the section, giving a free pass to Darren Kelly into the top 4. OMTs would be the hot item on the menu for the grand final at Pukekohe. Joe Marshall in the ATJ 180SX taking on Dave Steedman in the Mimico Max Mufflers S14. With a sloppy chase through the sweeper, Dave Steedman was at a disadvantage to Tom Marshall with a gap out in front. Steedman trying to claw back a better chase at turn 4. In the second pass, Dave Steedman was set a solid entry. This time it was Joe Marshall falling behind. A small mistake at the transition costing the ATJ 180SX. Dave Steedman evening out the scores to push them into an OMT.
It's all about to unfold right here.
Again, despite the weather, fast entries still kept coming. Marshall looking for a spot in the top 4 to face off Darren Kelly. Dave Steedman relishing his refreshed RB30 det setup in the chase. It was much the same from both drivers in the OMT, both Marshall and Steedman inseparable in the scoring, the judges calling sudden death. In the final battle, it was Marshall setting a good lead out in front, but again Dave Steedman answering back in the chase through 3 and 4, and in the end it would all come down to the final pass. Wipers on and Joe Marshall kept a clean chase run on the Mimico Max Mufflers S14, the ATJ 180SX keeping consistency flowing to take sudden death victory and his first ever top 4 in the Pro Championship. The last top 4 for the season was shaping up to be a wild battle for the podium placings as 4-time legend Gaz Whiter set a stunning entry, opening up a huge gap on Kurt Whitaker in the Autoshore R34 Skyline. With Kurt struggling to catch up online and settle the car down, it was Gaz Whiter sliding through the transition out in front with a clean pass. The Phoenix Radiators S14 with a huge advantage. In the second pass, Gaz Whiter wasn't letting off throttle with a close chase on the Autoshore R34. Kurt Whitaker trying to shake off the Phoenix S14, but with advantage in his favour, it was Gaz Whiter taking the win and a spot in the season final. On the other side of the tree, it was Joe Marshall seeking revenge for his brother and teammate in the top 4. Series leader Darren Kelly in with a shot at winning the final. The High-Tech Oils R34 keeping a textbook lead. In the second pass, rain showers passed through to top up the track with water. Darren Kelly unfazed in the chase run, applying the pressure to the ATJ 180, closing the gap to the lead and taking a winning chase run to see him through to the final battle of the season. This put 2012 Drift King Kurt Whitaker up against Joe Marshall for the final spot on the podium. The Autoshore R34 setting good pace out front. Joe Marshall unable to close the gap. Kurt Whitaker though missing the final outside clipping zone. In the second pass, Kurt Whitaker would keep a clean chase through the sweeper. The ATJ 180 looking strong though as Tom Marshall kept it clean out in front. With even points, the judges would send the boys into another OMT. This time round, Kurt Whitaker would take a wider line through the sweeper. The Ford 410 V8 Skyline leading out the Nissan RB-powered 180 SX. Joe Marshall trying to close up the gap on the Autoshore R34. The final pass of the battle would see Joe Marshall miss the first outside transition zone after the sweeper. Kurt Whitaker would capitalise in the chase run, hunting down the 180 SX. The Autoshore R34 would come out on top and claim a win for third place for the grand final at Pukekohe.
So stoked to be in the final against Darren. Yeah, just stoked. Last round of the season, and I think Darren's pretty much taken it out. So I'll make him work for it, but I'm stoked for the dude. He's had a great season, and he definitely deserves it.
Yeah, Haley radioed over before and said that Kurt was out in the championships, pretty much out. So pretty stoked. Never would have thought at the start of the season that we could achieve that, but. Yeah, it's been a tough one and pretty stoked, but we're still going to try for that #1 spot today, so see how it goes.
If there was ever a way to finish a season in style, it was Darren Kelly leading the series points in the final battle at one of New Zealand's most historic racetracks, and better yet, it's up against four-time defending champion Gaz Whiter, but it would be drama straight away for the final battle, the Phoenix S14 taking a fast entry and spearing off into the grass at over 180 kilometres an hour. With nearly 9,000 fans braving the wind and cold to catch the final round of the championship, Darren Kelly would hold a 10-0 advantage after the first pass, with one hand on the championship trophy. In the final pass of the season, it was Gaz Whiter not holding back after his high-speed paddock bash. Darren Kelly out in front, fending off the Phoenix S14. The High-Tech Oils R34 Skyline sealing the deal by taking the round win. Darren Kelly grabbing his second ever Pro Class victory and his third podium of the season. So young Darren Kelly takes another victory for the Turbos and his third podium of the season, putting the RB30 powered Nissan Skyline on top at Pukekohe Park Raceway. Gaz Whiter comes home in second place, Kurt Whitaker for third, and young Joe Marshall his first ever top four in the Pro Class.
2015. Please put your hands together for Turbo Car. Darren Kelly, what's
Darren Kelly, a name that has risen to fame in just 2 seasons in the Pro Class, now stamps his name on the iconic D1NZ Championship trophy, doing it in style by winning the grand final event itself and becoming the first ever Pro-Am Development Series winner to step up and win the Pro Championship title.
D1NZ Round 6 has come to a conclusion. We have a new king. Darren Kelly, it must feel pretty good to be signing these posters as the new New Zealand #1.
Yeah, it's I guess it hasn't really sunk in fully yet, but it's pretty undescribable feeling. We sort of had the advantage coming into this round, but until you actually seal the deal, it's anybody's game. So it was a tight battle right up until the top 4. So it was had us on the edge of the seat the whole way through.
Absolutely amazing season for yourself, though. You were super consistent right throughout. Probably a lot of credit due to your crew.
Yeah. We'd be nowhere without the crew. Like they're the ones that are constantly changing tyres. Like dry runs, you get 2 laps to most tracks, so they're always on the tyre machine, constantly doing work on the car. Wouldn't be here without them, and yeah, everybody that supports us.
So it's sinking in now that you're number 1 NZ. Got to be thinking as well that you're heading overseas now for a bit of a campaign as well.
Yeah, so Pukekohe has joined us just before the final, and yeah, we're looking at doing a overseas campaign with them, obviously with D1NZ and the top 4 from New Zealand. So we'll be doing that in the off season, and then coming back to defend the title in New Zealand.
Kurt Whitaker, so close, maybe so far at the end, 2NZ. How does that feel, mate?
Oh, mate, it's, you know, anywhere on that podium at the end of the season is a massive credit to everyone. You know, it's just not me and my crew. It's all the supporters, the sponsors. It's, you know, there's so much that goes into it, and you know, everyone up and down pit lane will tell you it's such a hard thing to do. But this is 5 years in a row on the podium for this, you know, for us in this car, and mate, I'm stoked. You know, like, hey, we were a little bit dubious going into this season, thinking that it was going to be a bit of up and down. You know, new package, new setup, but mate, it has been worth it. This car has just been bulletproof. So, you know, a few little problems along the way, little teething problems, but we'll come back and we'll sort it out. Next year it'll be on.
Well, that wraps up our extended special from Pukekohe Park Raceway. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage from the D1NZ D1NZ Drifting Championship Series, and this is the last time we will see this coverage in this format. Don't panic, Tannic. We are going to be back next season with more great action from the D1NZ Series. We thank all our fans and viewers for their ongoing support. Again, a big congratulations to Darren Kelly, the New Zealand Drift King for 2015. There's some big changes coming for D1NZ. As always, stay tuned for more, and until next season, we'll see you at facebook.com/Oversteer TV.